Welcome to the National Parent Leadership Institute's Art Heals Conversation as a part of the W.K. Kellogg Foundation's National Day of Racial Healing. Racial healing is the experience shared by people when they speak openly and hear the truth about past wrongs and the negative impacts created by individual and systemic racism. Racial healing helps to build trust among people and restores communities to wholeness so they can work together on changing current systems and structures so that they affirm the inherent value of all people. Today, we at NPLI have gathered some artists in our NPLI community across this nation to talk with them about their experiences interconnecting art and racial healing. It is my honor as the Executive Director of the National Parent Leadership Institute, Donna Thompson Bennett, to be the one who gets to engage them in this conversation, Art Heals. It is my joy to welcome all of the artists, and we're going to simply start with them introducing themselves. If you can share your name and anything you'd like to share about how you identify culturally, we want to welcome you into the space.
My name is Patti Harris-Baldes. I hail from the Wind River Reservation in Wyoming. I am a Northern Arapaho and Northern Paiute woman, and I've been on this earth for almost 47 years. Not young at all, but hardly old. So it's kind of a fun time in my life, like figuring out even having conversations like this and where I sit with it. Culturally, I am becoming more and more connected. I really don't put limits on where I am and who I am. So I'm always learning more about who I am as an Arapaho and as a Paiute woman. My native name, my Arapaho name, is Buffalo Medicine Woman, and I would be lying if I didn't say it changed my life when I received this name. I walk a little taller and my chest kind of puffs out a little more, but what that means to me and with my connection to art is it's all home. Wild to me is definitely home. One thing I like to say before meeting big groups of people to kind of set the stage of my art is that a long time ago, way before Once Upon a Time, Buffalo were wild and wild was home. And I'm quite partial with Buffalo, even though it is just it's my name, but I blame all the good in my life on them. I find more and more reason and joy in connecting in all the ways. I turn the words that we've learned that seem to be a little bit negative, like consumption or consume, and I want to consume this buffalo in all ways, through art, through getting my hands bloody, through stories, through just making new friends. It's quite incredible. I pinch myself often and wonder how I got so lucky to be able to share such joy and happiness, because it really is something I don't necessarily see with my eyes open, but with my eyes closed. And I want that for my community. I'm a mom and a sister and a grandma and an auntie, of course, a daughter. But on top of all of that, I'm really spoiled. And with that spoiled is love, and that's what it equates to. So finding the love in myself to keep sharing my art, whether it be poetry or painting or beading or weaving or dancing, really gets me excited to watch others do the same.
Hola, sí, buenas tardes, saludos a todos. Mi nombre es Fabian Arevalo, yo soy de Ecuador, vivo actualmente en el estado de Connecticut desde hace 5 años ya. ¿Quién iba a creerlo? Realmente no pensaba hacer una vida acá en Estados Unidos y lo estoy haciendo, y me encontré con gente como Patti, como ustedes y es el gusto de verlos acá en este tipo de reuniones. Bueno, un poquito de mí. Yo en este momento tengo 45 años y desde pequeño pues siempre la música y los colores en sí estaban siempre llamándome la atención. El dibujo también. Y bueno, estudié yo una carrera apegada a eso, que es lo que es el diseño y las artes plásticas como la pintura. Y también en la música me llevó bueno, la música la aprendí a partir de los 15 años y eso me llevó a una carrera de docente. Viví siendo profesor de jóvenes y de niños durante 20 años y ahí impartí todo lo que lo que sabía y lo que me nutrí de la cultura y del arte hacia los niños. Hicimos muchos proyectos, ¿no? Muchos proyectos plásticos, pinturas, juegos, canciones, obras de teatro inclusive, musicalizadas. Y bueno, en fin, todo eso me ha llevado a una siguiente etapa. Hoy, como les digo, estoy 5 años acá y me siento muy contento porque ahora estoy en otra etapa de mi vida que es ser un difusor y transmitir todo lo que he aprendido, lo que me han enseñado también mis alumnos y mis compañeros de trabajo y mi propia cultura. Y es irónico porque acá como tengo un grupo de música folclore andino, folclore hispano, acá aprendí un poco de nuestro idioma autóctono, ¿no? Más bien no en donde yo nací, que es de ahí donde se habla el idioma quichua. Acá lo aprendí porque nos pedían un poco esas canciones y bueno, digo, esto quiere mi raza, esto quiere mi gente y lo aprendí acá un poquito y ahí me toca ir pronunciando, aunque un poco mal, pero bueno, y también aprendiendo un nuevo idioma como es el inglés. Entonces creo que la interculturalidad nos ayuda mucho y uno va creciendo cada día.
Well, I'm just so honored to be here. I'm Elaine Zimmerman, she, her. I'm from a Jewish culture. My father's side came from Minsk, Russia. Now people know that as Belarus, and from the Black Forest in Germany. I began writing and loving language from when I was very little and was always understood the power of story and narrative to tell the truth and the power of art to unearth the mystery that was kept secret and to expose the truth together. That it was a way to bring people together through dance, through story, through and to uphold the mystery and what was kept in the closet and to open it up as a way to heal. And so since I was very young, I've understood the power of art as a way to bring all of us together when possible, and also to heal together when possible. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome, Elaine. I identify as a woman of African descent in this nation. And I love that Patti and Fabian said their wonderful age. And so this has been a special milestone year for me. I'm celebrating being 60 years young. And I too am a partner in love and life with my husband, Anthony, and we are the parents of wonderful Ahmad and the grandparents of one who we're parenting, our beautiful, brilliant, creative Nyla. And we have our first child, who is in what we can call the, great cloud and the beyond, or great cloud of witnesses, our Brittany. We speak her name. But one of the things from my experience as a woman of African descent, particularly in this nation, I've experienced the power of art in all its beautiful forms. It's not a gift that I have in terms of being able to create a painting. I love taking photographs. So I kind of, say one of my hobbies is being an amateur photographer. But the creative expression of poetry, painting, music is something that I really admire. And I do believe that it can encourage and actually make possible racial healing. So today, I'm excited that we're going to get to experience some of that diverse art form. Patti, can you please share with us your expression or sample of your creative art so that the community beyond this conversation, we believe in the nation, and because we believe that we are a global community in the world, will get to experience it?
Like I said, I don't limit myself much, but I'm gonna share a poem that I wrote after I was able to do one of my first, I guess, performances, as it's called, of something I created called Rematriate. I call myself a matriarch in training. So I'm finding that role and that responsibility in ways that are less crushing as a woman and a mom and a helper, as we do, and finding the ways to be seen in a way that isn't necessarily positive but hardly negative, really helps me find space and place to share all the colorful things that are of me. So when I wrote this poem, it was a love letter to the land, and it really kind of sums up how I share and definitely want my kids and my grandkids and their grandkids to share too. So this is a love letter to Yellowstone. Yellowstone. I write and read to you from a place not too far away, a place that has had its hair cut, language smothered, and a smile almost too. A place somewhat like you, a place that longs for connection, longs for relationship, and longs for love. These boundaries are kind of like the museum glass. We can see through them all right, but nothing seems clear. I write and pray to remind myself that this glass stained with blood and tears is fading with belief in you, belief in me, and belief in our future, something we can see with our eyes closed. So imagine being introduced to your grandma, being told all about her, brought to meet her, and then told no. You cannot hug her, you cannot pray with her, and no, you cannot love her, at least not like that. I've learned to obey the signs placed upon you. I get it, we've made you a thing, and sadly we treat you that way. I'd say I'm sorry, but this isn't one of those kind of love letters, and I'm pretty sure you know how sorry we are. Instead, I want to share how pivotal your presence in my life has been. Now, I'm hardly old, but I'm hardly young either, and in my quasi-seasoned state, I can see along with all those signs placed upon your being, your signs of patience, love, and sit your ass down. The ground was steady under our feet when we danced, and the breeze set our buffalo to sail. Felt like we were floating across you. You gifted us with rain, buffalo bulls, and seeing stormy goanna bear. Your gift of cool nights brought warm fires that I can still feel, hear, and smell. The firelight across the faces of the family we created, the family you brought together, showed happiness and helpfulness. And as our young boys shared songs, our hearts grew and the glass became clearer. Now I know this glass I speak of, it's not really there. I put it there. Suppose I feel we fall more in love. I suppose as we feel we fall more in love, I'll grow strong enough to remove it. Strong enough for me and for you. Thank you for your patience. My babies and grandbabies will hug you and will pray with you and love you just as they are, with eyes closed and heart open. Patti.
Wow. Powerful. Beautiful.
Here is a photo or two of, you did see a photo that Patti has on her wall. I take a lot of pictures of teepees and buffalo, not so much people. But a lot of my art or my work comes from our work with community and the art that is with and around us already, like it's kind of waiting. I didn't really create it. It was just waiting for me. So we have one photo of my niece. So this is Lala and Ruby. The art I share, and I really feel like the buffalo have made me so much more than just a voice, but more of a disruptor. I believe that buffalo are the prime disruptors for us, and that is a good word. Every time they walk across the earth, they kind of make everything show up as they should, you know. And there's a lot of scientific words I can use. My husband, I leave that to him. I'm more of the Fruit Loop of the two of us, and he definitely has so much to share about the buffalo. But what the buffalo do for me is something that I feel is in all of us, and that art comes from just connecting with more and more life. So I have a painting I have done recently. My favorite shape is a heart. I'm a real simple gal. I don't try to think too hard about things that I believe are, you know, like I said, kind of waiting for me. So my last painting I did is a buffalo medicine woman. My favorite shape is a heart, and she's always running. Like I said, the females are kind of always, but this is a painting of a heart buffalo, and she's a voluptuous one.
Beautiful.
But I have many of these all over my house, and it's just really honoring the women, the girls, the stages of our lives, the four heels that we have in our culture. And when I'm creating, I think I'm almost always 99.9% of the time honoring the 12-year-old girl in me. So making sure that we all feel that, you know, the dangling of our legs off a tailgate, or honoring birds that fly by. The real importance for me is sharing that art is everywhere and art is home. And I imagine, Donna, your paintings are lovely if you gave her heck. So I think it's just all there waiting for us when it comes to that type of sharing, anyway, our talents.
Great, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the encouragement, beautiful Patti. Fabian, I'm going to ask you if you could share with us your creative art expression. Feel free to introduce it in any way that you like, and then to share.
Ok, bueno, voy a cantar una canción primero. Quiero contarles hoy mi tristeza, la soledad que hoy llevo aquí en mi alma. Quiero contar de tristes desengaños, de ilusiones y de sueños que he vivido. Entre montañas y valles he nacido, me acunaron los sueños en su encanto. Y tú eres ser mi tierra y su charango, vi crecer las ampollas con el viento. Guay, ay, 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 guay, ay, ay, guay, ay, ay. Guay, ay, 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 guay, ay, ay, guay, ay, ay. Guay, ay, 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 guay, ay, ay, guay, ay, ay. Guay, ay, 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 guay, ay, ay, guay, ay, ay. Guay, 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 ay, 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 guay, ay, ay. Guay, 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 ay, guay, ay, 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 guay, ay, ay, guay, ay, ay. Ok. Parte de mi arte es la interpretación, ¿no? Y bueno, yo me declaro, digo así, como un promotor de lo que es mi cultura hispana, mi cultura latinoamericana, hispanoamericana. Y bueno, esta canción la quise poner acá en contexto, no es mía, es de Bolivia, es una canción boliviana, pero obviamente todo eso está atravesado por la cordillera de los Andes. Habla acerca de instrumentos como el charango, la zampoña, que son instrumentos de viento hechos de madera, también una guitarra pequeñita parecido al cuatro o al ukelele que conocemos acá, pero un poquito con variantes, ¿no? Ya. Y bueno, esta canción me gusta mucho porque habla acerca del dolor, ¿no? Del dolor de una raza, del dolor de una cultura. Y sin embargo, el corito que estaba yo cantando que dice guay, para nosotros no es un guay, que para acá significa por qué, ¿no? Una pregunta. para nosotros es como un llanto. Entonces, este pedacito, este fragmento de esta canción, la quise traer a contexto acá, me pareció muy al lugar. Primero por la cuestión de la raza, por la cuestión cultural, la cuestión comunitaria. Y luego para explicar que esto es lo que yo hago, ¿no? Es como que voy a ciertos lugares en donde aprecian y bueno, a veces como lo desconocen, no saben qué es, o qué es un huayno, por ejemplo, que es un ritmo muy autóctono nuestro, de nuestra región, o diferentes instrumentos, como ya les traje a ejemplos algunos, ritmos como pasillo, pasacalle, San Juanito, capiscas, en fin, un montón de ritmos. Y es por eso que yo me autonombro un promotor cultural, ¿no? No solo de mi país, sino de todo lo que es la cuestión andina, la región montañosa, que es en donde se origina esta música, los bombos, hechos a bases de cuero de animales, en fin, o sea, es todo un contexto, ¿no?, que habla de nuestra cultura, de nuestra identidad. Hoy en día, o actualmente, me encuentro pues con un grupo que lleva de nombre Raíces Chasquis. ¿Qué significa chasqui? Chasqui es una especie de delivery, o que entregaba cartas, pero ellos lo hacían sin la ropa adecuada, inclusive sin zapatos, y corrían muchísimas millas para entregar la carta entre reinados y reinadas que existían hace mucho tiempo. Eso es un chasqui. Y raíces, pues bueno, es una palabra en español, ¿no? Entonces, ahí cuando nos presentamos en ciertos locales donde hay más concurrencia de gente, pues, nativa de acá, nosotros decimos chasqui roots, ahí mezclamos la palabra quichua con la palabra, pues, inglesa, ¿no? Y en español es raíces chasqui. Es mi fusión, es lo que hago, y me gusta mucho, y cada vez, como digo, pues aprendiendo más y conociendo más, y en fin, eso es lo que hago yo.
Thank you so much for doing that. Cultural promoter. Thank you, Fabian, for being in this space and promoting your culture as well as teaching. Thank you. Elaine, will you share with us a sample of your creative art form?
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you, Patti, for that exquisite poem, and Fabian for that beautiful music. I'm really honored to be with this team. I had opportunity to work in the federal government for almost the last 9 years, and there has been more recently what you could consider a form of erasure, where words are being thrown out the window as bad words, as if a word could be bad. And having learned in my tradition and in my community how important words are to tell the truth, as I watch this form of erasure, it seems very important to share. Everybody, you need to understand that words are being erased. And, it's one thing to have erasure be sort of a form of art where it's intentional, but where it's a form of undoing, it evokes something else. And so this particular poem, Donna, that I wrote is called Forbidden Words, 2025, Washington, D.C. And it is just a sample of some of the words that are literally no longer allowed to be used. So what you will hear in this poem is a word, which is a forbidden word, and then a little bit of a narrative under it that I wrote. And it's intentional that it come together, so you feel it as a weaving. Forbidden Words, 2025, Washington, D.C. Polarization, torn apart. Separate the beauty, break it in two. Marginalize, to flatten, put under the page. Diversify, mix it up, the rice and beans, the money, round the bend in your brow. Trauma, so quick the wrong turn, wrong choice, then nothing, pressed between wing and a distant hum, taste of dust. Definition, the word's very meaning, right here at the kitchen table between us. Breastfeed and person. The mouth latches on, one becomes two. Mental health. Someone keeps saying, all your fault, haunting. It slows the bare feet, captures breath. Disparity. What you said then and what you said now are vastly different. Tribal. Promise of the ghost dance. The earth shakes, the dead return, buffalo roam in abundance. Institutional. Long-standing, a structure, many stories to climb. At risk. She faces a wall she has not eaten in 3 days. Diverse. So many shells and seeds, footprints in the sand. Female. Mother, daughter, billow, sail. What of this lace and broth do you still want? Cultural heritage. Where we are from. Steps forward and back, under dams, over mountains, the reach as long as hope, or a young mare's mane. Excluded. Teacher told him to sit in the corner. Students laughed. The chatter like a train, fast and not stopping, while they waited with suitcases. Barrier. No touch or words, a country between them. Identity. Whatever he is, it isn't this. Rural water. Commercial fertilizer and animal waste are the most common contaminants. Belong. After school, the boys go to a club. They kick soccer balls around. Racism. No place for you here, or then, or now. Bend down. Anti-racism. Endless kites fly in the sky. Long fingers loosen the knot that ties the noose. Historically. Cut it out, this remembering. Catching data like lightning bugs in a jar. Empty this fast, and now you'll feel it as stars fall, exploding mid-air. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Elaine, thank you. And based on your poem, the first question comes to you. What role does your art and the art of others have in community building and dialogues around race?
Well, I think that the poem itself shares that you know, I'm trying to take something that has a form that is a form of beauty, but to have in it, you know, as Patti talked about when she was introducing her poem, it's not all positive, but it's sharing things that we need to know. And what I have really learned is that art allows us to bring the new and the old together. It comes in at a slant. It opens possibility. It's also something that brings shy people forward. People lean in who might not ordinarily lean in if it were simply a conversation about current events. But there's something that art does that allows for many more to come in. And it also allows for people to come together, I observe, across generation. So that young people, elders, there's something that allows for a unifying. And also I think that in the work that I do, I always start with a poem, and I always invite people to tell their stories through art and through narrative, because I think even those who know their story discover even more through a form of art. So that's what I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Patti, what about you?
Well, like I said, I think it's, and I love thinking about words as good and bad and how we've been taught to relate to those. But what's happening in my community is a disruption, and like it or not, Buffalo and ourselves are kind of trending these days, and so we're running with that. But the way to, I guess, show off, to be to be really proud without sin, and really show who we are. I feel for myself, without art, I think I would still feel a lot of contortion and compromise, and I really wouldn't know where that was coming from. Art's allowed me to heal myself through like sitting all contorted and wondering why I'm not feeling parts of things or connected. And it was because I wasn't really sharing the honest and most raw and true parts of myself, which make me not only Arapaho and Paiute, but just a woman and a human and a part of the bigger picture. So when it comes to my community and our race and all of the folks who live here and call it home, I find it very important to encourage. I mean, because I know where I sit in the community, I have the space and time to share and make people really want to share their goodies as well. You know, when I encourage someone like that, that really is the art in itself for me. The idea of knowing even that a Northern Arapaho woman can create this, and another Northern Arapaho woman down the street or the road can create something, and they're definitely different, but it both shows who we are and our connection to where we live and what we eat and how we see things is definitely front burner for me, and making sure it stays that way in our communities, I think, will just ripple and all the other good things that we are involved in.
Thank you. Fabian, what role does your art, or maybe the art of others, have in your community building and dialogues around race?
En mi persona y en otras personas. Bueno, pienso que actualmente el arte es una manera de expresión que no la pueden explicar ninguna de las leyes, ¿no? Como ya tenemos establecidas muchas físicas y sociales. Pero el arte actualmente para nosotros es un medio de comunicar las cosas que a veces callamos o que la mayoría del tiempo la callamos. Y nosotros debemos buscar ser conductores de aquellas voces que no pueden hacerlo y que muchas veces buscan un medio para esto. En nuestro caso más concreto, ayudando a canalizar también, ¿no? Siendo fuentes de enseñanza, siendo fuentes de ejemplo para las otras personas, y ellos viendo en uno que uno se atreve, se lanza a un escenario o se lanza a cantar en un restaurante o se lanza a cantar ante el público en un evento abierto. Y he notado eso porque han venido niños y jóvenes latinos y me dicen, oh, qué lindo ese instrumento, qué bonito ese instrumento, ¿cómo se llama? Ok, mira, esto se llama así, esto tiene eso así, y viene de acá. Y son gente que sus padres son hispanos, pero no sabían de ese tipo, de nuestra música, ¿no? Entonces nos convertimos en un ente difusor, y es una gran misión y es un compromiso también, porque no podemos quedarnos callados y guardarnos eso solo para nosotros o solo para mi grupo, sino hay que abrirnos, hay que buscar la difusión, hay que buscar ser parte de un conjunto, y de esa manera nosotros apoyamos a nuestra raza, a nuestra comunidad, siendo un ejemplo y siendo pues voz viva de los que muchas veces callan.
Thank you, Fabian. Fabian, thank you for daring, right? And so I would like to ask you, and then I'm going to go to Elaine and Patti, what would be your hope for how communities accomplish racial equity and inclusion to create better spaces of belonging?
Yo pienso que lograr que los espacios sean más integrales. Integrales me refiero a que si bien hay ciertos lugares a donde, bueno, también es cuestión ya de idiosincrasia, ¿no? de pensamientos internos, pero buscar que no solamente en un restaurante mexicano se escuche música mexicana, por ejemplo. También dar apertura a otro tipo de música y otro tipo de eventos, no solo con la cuestión mexicana o latina o anglosajona. También en la parte de las industrias musicales debería haber más, ser más abiertos a nuevas expresiones, ¿no? Sin condicionantes ni exclusividades, digamos así, porque es una industria que realmente monopoliza y obvio, todo es un negocio también, ¿no? Hoy en día las plataformas digitales también deberían ser más asequibles para difundir los diversos tipos de artes que tenemos y que es realmente una belleza y que mucha gente, la mayoría, no la conocemos. Hoy acabo de escuchar una linda historia, un lindo nombre de cultura navaja y me parece algo interesante que ya voy a empezar a buscar y a informarme. Y mire, o sea, uno lo desconoce, pero mediante este tipo de eventos, de meetings, también, ¿no? Hay que promulgar este tipo de encuentros para que si yo ya tengo eso de la hispanidad o de otro tipo de cultura, pues voy a buscarla y también a difundirla.
Thank you, Fabian. Elaine, what would be your hope for how communities can accomplish racial equity and inclusion to create a better or true sense of belonging?
It's such an important question, Donna. You know, in my work over the last few years since the murder of George Floyd and the interest in having more diversity and more conversation about diversity, where cities and states wanted to engage in such, I found and learned from states and cities that they did not know how to do this, that they wanted to, in many cases they did not. They did not, but those that did often admitted privately behind a closed door that they did not know how to operationalize this and they did not know what to do. And one of the things that I would suggest, and that I think that you are significantly highlighting today, is to bring in story, to bring in narrative, to bring in art, and also particularly across generation. But I think that having people share their stories through in a relaxed environment where they tell their narrative in an art form allows for something else to come forward, and it goes straight to the heart. There's more candor. Things emerge that aren't told in regular dialogue. It also allows children to share by drawing pictures. They really, by illustrating, you really find out what they thought. So for example, if you would indulge me, this is an example. When 9/11 happened, I wanted to see how the children in the state I lived in were affected. And people were saying, oh, only those close to Manhattan felt it. But that was totally wrong. Children all over the state felt it, and they were concerned, and they had lots of questions. And they had questions about hatred, because they were understanding that this was a manifestation of cultural differences and hatred that were historic. And they understood that in whatever way they could understand it. And then Katrina happened. And I went back to the same children and had them draw pictures. And then the children said, oh my gosh, I thought this was about something other, far away, people who hated us far away. And now I'm realizing they hate me. Now I realize this is about me and my skin color as a Black child. And now I don't feel as safe. I felt not safe when 9/11 happened, but now that Katrina's happened, it's making me think about hatred and otherness and what I can do to heal the world. And what happened that really stunned me, that I wasn't prepared for, Donna, was that children with very young children were asking very important questions, but they also wanted to heal the world. And their impulse was not to hold on to hatred. Their impulse was to figure out how to get rid of hatred and to heal so we could love each other. And that crossed age. So I would, to your question, say, don't forget art when you look to operationalize, to implement, and to work across generation and be totally open with questions that allow children and youth and elders to be sharing what they're seeing and know, and you will get different information. And if you listen and collect something else, collect the shells, something else can happen.
Thank you, Elaine. Patti, what is your hope for how communities accomplish racial equity and inclusion to create an authentic sense of belonging?
Well, where I sit, I just see a lot of unworthiness. There's a lot of my peers, a lot of the folks where I live who don't know how to love themselves. And a lot of times I think we find folks that who are coming to assist or help in ways, and we really end up making a really beautiful cake that tastes like crap. So what I think is for our people, our community to participate in a different way. The way we view the world is, this is happening to us, I think, we're by participating, and I am an advocate for from the dirt up type of learning. I'm involved in buffalo harvests, and it's quite amazing to travel all over Indian country and share this tool, this talent that we have with this animal, because it's hardly dead and gone when we're harvesting it. It's quite alive and it lives through us. And finding folks and people on the reservations and communities we live in who can find that is a beautiful thing to see. Participating in all the duties that help our children, feel safe, and finding a way to do that as ourselves is, I think, for me, has always been the problem. So finding identity. Right now we're on our big voting, getting ready to do a big voting campaign for our community, and all we can think of is always participate and share what you know. There isn't a way to do it, and I think we've gotten caught up in that, and I feel a lot of our folks are praying and hoping constantly for people across the nation to think we're important when we aren't believing that we're important right here, right now. So finding that drive, that thing is really right in front of us. All the gifts are right in front of us, and just getting my community to feel how powerful they are, and own it and love it, and and really go with that. One of our sayings we say is, we know what we don't know, but the only way you can do that is by participating, meeting your prayer halfway, and really being what we say we are. There's a lot of romantic traditional things going on when it comes to Native talk and relationship, and there may be a lot of stewards out there of the land, but I haven't met many of them, myself included. I use too much styrofoam. I love glitter, and I realize that those things are part of our world and part of feeling good, but I really don't feel like my community is seeing themselves as they should, as beautiful as they are, as powerful. And regardless of, I mean, and it really is, it goes from art to what we put in our mouths, and we don't really feel worthy of good food even. And that's, it's real simple, but it seems like the hardest thing to combat is getting people to participate and know how amazing and powerful it is to use your tools the creator gave you. But yeah, I don't think I don't think if we don't get that part right, then we'll just, like I said, we'll just be having a lot of pretty cakes that don't taste good. But I'm always wanting our folks to have good cake and eat it too.
I love that. We want good cake, and we want to be able to have everyone eat it. I, on behalf of the entire team at National Parent Leadership Institute, probably don't even have enough words to express my gratitude and the depth of it to each and every one of you for bringing your art to us, to this conversation. I want to say thank you for not only sharing it within your very community, but that you are open to share it with the world. And we really appreciate that you not only share your art, but your being, who you are, really, to me, seems like what promotes you to be persistent in resistance and the many different art forms it takes to actually move towards racial healing. And so, again, my deep gratitude to you, Patti, to you, Fabian, to you, Elaine. May you both, well, you, all three of you, I apologize, continue to walk well and create beyond your imagination. Thank you, thank you, thank you.